Hello and welcome to Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
A weekly podcast and YouTube channel where we discuss all things Wrexham AFC from the point of view of long-term fans and new fans.
So sit back, put your feet up, relax and let's get stuck in.
Hello and welcome back to episode 112 of Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC podcast.
You sound a bit nasally.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah? You okay?
Yeah, I woke up with a bit of a sore throat this morning.
Oh, God. It's just, we see every other episode we seem to talk about someone being ill, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we need to start having some vitamins.
I do every day.
As we're getting older. Well, you
I
do,
know,
yeah.
joints and all that. Yeah.
So, are you good?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. It's been very busy. We are refurbing and redecorating our house at the moment. So that is, it's not stressful. It's just a lot to coordinate all at the same time. So
we're spending lots of money.
Lots of money. Sian's redundancy
My
money.
redundancy money.
Hey.
I'm not even sure how much I've got left of it now, to be honest.
No.
It's a good job I started a new job, isn't it?
It is, it is. So on this week's show, we're going to have a look back at the Reading game. Yeah, good, wasn't it?
No, the Reading game was amazing.
Yeah.
But what literally did I just say to you before we started recording?
I don't know. Oh, you're going to do this?
You crack on, it's fine.
Okay, sorry, I do apologise. Just like taking over. We're going to have a look at the Reading game. We're going to have a little chat about Ollie Rathbone, like I promised to last week. We're going to look ahead to the Peterborough game. We're going to answer... There's quite a few people asking questions
Which
now,
we love, thank you.
Which is amazing. So we're going to try and answer all of them today. And obviously, Sian's going to have a crack at the quiz.
A crack it will be.
Yeah. Absolute crack.
Absolute, yeah.
Look, if you would like to support the show, as always, then you can buy us a coffee. Our Buy Me a Coffee page is buymeacoffee.com/me the wife. So, anyway, let's talk about the Reading game.
Oh my God.
Before we start, I wanted to make note about the sort of atmosphere and the noise. I know we've only had 2 games, but to you...
2 home games
I'm going to read... Yeah, that's what I mean, 2 games at the Racecourse. The atmosphere, the away is usually pretty good. You know, You're all sort of compacted into one area. You do get a really good atmosphere, in my opinion, at the away games. Anyway.
IMO.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't know what you were
You're not down with the kids, are you?
I'm not really. Do you know what confused me then?
What?
You know the car wash that we go to? That's called IMO, isn't it? And you can put, just before we started recording, I had a notification from the car wash saying we haven't been there for a while.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
So that literally threw me off because I thought, what are you talking about? But
wow, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, anyway, let's move on. So I wanted to sort of touch on the atmosphere at the Racecourse. I think going back a while when the temp stand first went up, I think people were a little bit worried that, you wouldn't really get the increased atmosphere that people were hoping for because there was no sort of roof on the temp stand. Would it really hold all the sound in? I'm going to read a quote out in a minute. I'll do that in a second. But I wanted to ask you first, what do you think about the atmosphere this season? Do you think it's better? Do you think it's worse? Do you think it's about the same and it's always been loud? Or, what's your opinion?
At the Wickham game, I don't think I looked over there, to be honest.
No, I'm not talking just about the temp stand.
No, I know. But I'm just going to talk about the temp stand for a second. I looked over at the temp stand at the Reading game on Saturday and it looked like it was bouncing, to be fair.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I definitely think we are getting louder. There are some bits where, the ideal thing is that you don't hear the away fans, being noisy. You at the end of the day, there's a hell of a lot more Wrexham fans at home than there are away fans. So you'd expect the noise to be, drowning out the away fans. But there were points at the Reading game where I did hear the Reading fans quite loudly. But it was only kind of intermittent. It wasn't like all the way through. But the Reading fans were loud. but obviously we were louder.
Yeah, I think it maybe has gone up a notch this season.
I think so.
For whatever reason, I sort of feel like there's more of an atmosphere and it's a little bit louder, which is good because it does become a little bit more intimidating for teams who are coming in. Another reason I sort of brought it up this week is we had a Bolton fan who sort of commented on our last video and sort of said, you guys were really loud at the Bolton game, you know, constant all the way through the game. And what he said was he didn't really feel like the Bolton fans were as loud as maybe they should have been during the game.
Yeah.
But I do definitely think it's gone up a notch.
I don't think I heard the Bolton fans singing at all, to be honest. But whether that's because we were in the mix of the away fans, I don't know.
Possibly. The reason, anyway, I wanted to read this out last week and didn't really get an opportunity to do it because last week was a little bit all over the place, wasn't it? Because we got back from Bolton.
It was
decent, yeah.
Yeah.
The quote is, it was bouncing. And for an away team, it's going to be a tough place to go this year. I don't want to say just the atmosphere will get them through because they're a good team, obviously. But I think that can sometimes give you an extra 10 points during the season. It put us on the back foot. I'm not going to lie, the first 10, 15 minutes, we were taken aback by it. That's a quote from Sam Vokes, who's the striker, one of the strikers for Wycombe. So that's a quote after the first game, basically saying that the atmosphere was sort of bouncing really, and it was, you know, and for the first 15 minutes was quite intimidating, and it took a while to get used to. I think you'll get a little bit more honesty from players who are sort of a little bit later on in their career. Early on in a player's career, they're very media trained and they say that, you know, they try and say the right things all the time. Someone like Sam, who's been around for years, I think he's just at the point in his career when he's honest. And, you know, it's quite refreshing sometimes for him to sort of go, message.
Sorry, didn't even know that was loud. Just me dad.
Yeah. So I find it quite refreshing for a player to come in and go, whoa, do you know what? Took me aback, you know, a little bit. That it was a little bit of a shock that, you know, how much the atmosphere. And I do think it's going to pull us through games on time. I do think it's pulled us through games in the past as well. Yeah. But I just wanted to touch on it because it did feel like it was an extra sort of level. And maybe, you know, we're starting to grow a little bit of belief now because we went from the National League to League Two, and there was a lot of let's consolidate, then we can push on, and then we just breezed through. Maybe not breezed through. We didn't
breeze through.
But we went straight through, through that league. We're now in League One. We've started, and maybe people are just that belief starting to build a little bit.
Do you know what makes me laugh is though that. Obviously, we won 3-2 against Wycombe in the first game, drew against Bolton 0-0, and then we won 3-0 against Reading on Saturday.
Spoiler alert, sorry, just in case you didn't know. I'm joking, go on.
But, like, opposing fans won't even admit that Wrexham are a good team. It's this whole Hollywood thing. Even Reading, right? I noticed on their Twitter account before the game on Saturday, basically saying, or it might have been the day before, it might have been Friday, saying that we're off to Hollywood. And it's like, you know, yes, we've got two Hollywood stars that own us, but at the end of the day, they are not the ones that make all the like team decisions and the buying decisions and all that. It's the people that are, you know, that are not, you know, from Hollywood. You know, like Phil Parkinson. Where's he from?
I don't know where he was born.
No, yeah, okay. He's British anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think keep, you know, people not giving due respect to Wrexham players.
I get that. I get what you're trying to say. I'm starting to revel in it a little bit now. I'm thinking of making a flag that's got Disney FC on it with a little Mickey Mouse or something. I don't care. I'm sort of it annoyed me for a little bit. It doesn't really annoy me anymore. I'm not really bothered. Because
I think it bothers people. It bothers like us, Wrexham fans, because we're so proud of where Wrexham were, like, you know, how far Wrexham have come in just a space of 4 years. There's teams that have, you know, that will never ever, because of ownership or one thing or another, will never ever kind of experience that, I don't think.
No, you are right. But like I said, I don't think it's something that bothers me anymore.
No, it just annoys me that other, you know, fans tarnish it with like Hollywood FC, Disney FC, whatever crap they come out with. It's like, you know, give Wrexham their dues. We are a good team. We've got a good, strong starting 11, and obviously substitutes as well. We've got, you know, them in abundance. So I just think, give us our dues. We are a good team. And I know we're biased, obviously, because we're Wrexham fans, but I genuinely think that we are, and are, you know, after the 3 games so far this season...
We're going up! No?
I wasn't going to say that.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm not jinxing that, but, you know, we've got a good yeah. I think that we have definitely earned our place in this league.
Yeah, of course we have.
You know, we didn't just breeze into League One.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
Breeze.
We worked hard.
Absolute breeze.
We worked hard.
All that Hollywood money, and we just tiptoe our way through, kicking the leaves, and just went, yeah, whatever.
Little envelope to the referees now and again.
See you later, Tranmere.
Yeah.
Sorry, other clubs are available. But...
So I definitely think that we, as a club, as a team, are definitely, you know, we definitely earned our place in League One, and it makes me very proud.
Oh, well done. Sorry, what? Yeah, let's move on.
So Revan.
Yeah,
Do you know what the announcer announced it yesterday after he came on, when Barney went off and he came on? And I'm sure it was Revon. I don't know. Anyway, Seb.
It's Revon.
Yeah.
Revon,
So he wasn't, obviously, at the Bolton game, he was in the starting 11, taking the place of Barney. But at the Reading game, he didn't start and Barney did. Thoughts? Is that a surprise?
Yes, it was, because I thought...
It was for me, because he was in my starting 11 and I got him
he was
wrong.
in mine as well.
Because I didn't think there would be any changes, but...
No, I think he put in such a good performance at Bolton. I was quite surprised that he wasn't in that starting 11. Look, I've got no issue with Barney starting. Some may even argue you should have both of them starting. Barney on the right and Revon on the left.
And McLean on the bench or whatever.
I'm not going to discuss that because it gets too confusing as to where you put McLean.
Any position. Yeah,
we all know. But you know, some would argue that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would argue that. Maybe I would in certain circumstances. I just think Seb is potentially too good to only be getting, you know, some minutes off the bench or, you know, the odd start here and there. I think potentially he's too good for that. And look, it does help us with squad depth. I'm just not sure that he is going to be happy with that long term, and I'm not sure there are going to be. I'm not sure all the Wrexham fans are going to be happy with that long term, especially if every time he comes in, he puts in a really good performance like he did against Bolton. So yes, I was a little bit surprised. I think as the game developed, I was less surprised, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But Reading, look, I knew what I was going to get from Reading. I knew that technically they were a decent team. I knew that they were going to pass the ball around nice and slick. I knew that's the sort of team that they were going to be. They'd already played Birmingham this season and got a draw out of it. So I knew what we were facing. I had a good idea. And I don't think the first 10, 15, 20 minutes sort of changed my mind about that. They did pass it around really well. I think what they lacked, not just in that first 20 minutes, the game as a whole, I think what they missed was that killer pass, Reading. That sort of pass in the final third that could have completely opened us up. Now, we were very good defensively. Very solid, kept our shape very well. But I think even with the best defences, I think just a really good pass and a really good run or whatever it might be can unlock most defences. And I just don't think Reading... I haven't analysed them closely enough over the games that they'd played prior to Saturday. But on Saturday, they definitely lack that. And if that is something that they're lacking in general all the time, they might struggle.
So early on in the season as well. I mean,
Yeah,
you'd think they would be more kind of
drilled and
ready. And then as, maybe as the season progresses, that's when they start to show, mistakes or whatever.
Yeah, I think on paper, very good team.
Yeah.
Reading. I think in your head, when you say Reading, you think of a championship team. For me, I remember them in the Premier League, obviously, but I think predominantly you think, you naturally think championship team because that's what they've been in and around for the last sort of however many years. Last season, they finished 17th. And then with the performance on Saturday, lots of good work in the middle and lacking up top, I felt a little bit. So I was a little bit worried going into the game. But then at the end of the game, I think I sort of felt that I understood a little bit why they finished in 17th last season based on what I saw, because I think that there's definitely something lacking in that team. The problem that Reading have got because of the issues with their owner, they haven't been able to bring in the players that that the manager or whoever have wanted to bring in, because of the whole sort of funds available and all that sort of thing. So I think they're working with what they've got, which is very good, but they do need some additions to sort of make them a little bit stronger for me. Look, Ollie put us 1-0 up. 23 minutes, something like around that mark. Yeah. Great cross from Barney. Ollie, header, bog standard Ollie really, wasn't it? Get up above your marker, head it back where it came from, in the corner, good goal. He ran all the way. It's most I've seen him run for ages, but he ran all the way back to the halfway line to celebrate with Stephen Fletcher.
Do you know why?
I do not know why, and that's what I was going to ask you, because I would have assumed that you'd done a little bit of digging.
The reason why is because they met up for a coffee the day before. Yeah. And even though obviously they've both been around for a while, Ollie said in his interview at the end of the game, he basically said that you're never too old to get advice. And basically, Fletcher gave Ollie some advice on kind of what to do. And he took that on board and he did it.
And he scored.
That's why he went over to Fletcher, because obviously Fletcher had given him that advice and it paid off. So,
well, there you go.
Do you know what? I just love when a player scores a goal. Yeah. I just absolutely love the camaraderie between every single player. They go and celebrate with that player. They just, I love it. And the fact that, Palmer had got advice from Fletcher the day before and took it on board and wasn't arrogant and thought, oh, do you know what? I've been around as long as you have, mate. I'm not taking advice from you.
Not quite, but yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? I just think it's really good that you can still take advice from other players, and it worked.
Yeah,
and he got us that goal. So,
I like that story.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you might. That's why I threw it out there.
Yeah, there you
go. No, look, I think before the season started, we perhaps wondered whether Ollie was going to feature as much this season. We brought him into... He has played at League One level before, don't get me wrong. We brought him in at National League. He played for us in League Two as well. And I think we were wondering a little bit.
Yeah.
Whether he was going to start as much.
I think we have discussed it previously on
the
episode.
We've still got a week left of the... even less by the time this comes out. But a week left of the transfer window before it slams shut. Potential for Ollie being replaced?
I don't know, because the past 3 games... Okay, maybe the Wycombe game, he wasn't as slick as he was on Saturday. But I just think he is... he's still got something to give.
Yeah.
Whether that is 90 minutes worth, obviously he doesn't play for 90 minutes because obviously he always gets subbed on by Fletcher, always comes on. But I just think he's definitely still got something to give, and I just think it's a tough one, isn't it? Because he's getting to that age now where. But then you look at McLean and you think, well, he's just signed a 2-year deal, and it's like he's older, isn't he, than Palmer?
He is, but I think you've got two very different players there who have a very different approach to fitness and the way that they look after themselves. Yeah, no offence to Ollie, but Ollie isn't James McLean, is my point.
No.
I don't think you've got many players who are like James McLean, even the younger ones, you know, so that's not really a slight on Ollie. But yeah, two very different players, I think.
I don't know, it's really difficult to say whether or not he will be not loaned out, he'll be sold maybe. I don't know. I don't think he will.
I mean replaced, as in someone brought in to take his place.
Yeah, no, I think maybe in the January transfer window, or he might, because he hasn't, because obviously you've got like Paul Mullen who signed a contract extension, you've got Elliot Lee, James McLean, Stephen Fletcher has as well, you know, you've got all these players, but he's one that hasn't done that. He hasn't kind of made that, and his contract runs out, did it run out in June?
No, it wouldn't have done. Otherwise,
it runs out end of this season.
End of the season, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's when negotiations or a decision, I think, will be made. So I definitely think we've got him for another season. Whether he will be as involved, I couldn't think of the word then, as involved, obviously time will tell, but I don't think he will be completely cut off this season.
We're going to talk about Paul a little bit more, obviously. Yeah, I think it very much depends when Paul's back full tilt. He always seems to play better with Ollie, doesn't he? So I think it'll then be a question of, well, let's see how that works out and how we get on with that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Reading's good work came down their right-hand side, especially in the first half. They had quite a quick lad called Candy, who was on the right. He had the beating of McLean for pace. He had the beating of Tom O'Connor once. He flashed across. He flashed across from that right-hand side. Nobody got on the end of it, but it was a little bit of an alarm bell from me. Down that right-hand side, he was quick, and I thought if they are going to do anything, I felt like it was going to be through him.
Yeah.
Luckily, it never happened. But, you know, I thought on that right-hand side, they seemed quite strong. It did open up the question for me again about Tom O'Connor. Tom O'Connor's not the quickest. You know, he's very much there for his ball-playing ability. He can defend as well. I'm not saying he can't.
Yeah.
I was watching him getting beat a couple of times by this guy, and I was just wondering if, you know, in Parky's mind, maybe that a change was coming on the left side of that defence. I don't know. But, you know, dead ball as well, you know, Tom's brilliant at that. So,
he's good.
So it's, you know, it's sort of hard to work out what you're going to do in that team, I think. Second goal, just before half-time. It was a little bit more scrappy. It was another ball in from...
I didn't know what the hell was going on.
No, another ball in from Barney. McLean got up at the back post, he hit the post with a header.
Fell over.
The ball hit him. It fell to Marriott, who I thought had scored, but the keeper managed to save it brilliantly. And then it come back to Elliot Lee, who put it in. Now... Yeah, very scrappy goal. I'm more than happy to be... Like I was going to say.
A goal's a goal.
Don't care at all. And then I think it was that point that perhaps I realised why Barney was playing and not Seb. Because they had obviously identified that right-hand side or Reading's left-hand side as a potential for someone to get round the outside and get crosses into the box. Both our goals came from
Barney.
That. They came from Barney crosses in roughly about the same place both times, from Barney beating his man and getting the ball across. I'm not saying Seb couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But Parky's obviously very comfortable in knowing what Barney's abilities are, and he felt that he was the right man for that job. Look, time will tell. I think Seb's very much left-footed, and I think from what I could see from it, it was made for a fullback to be beating that left back on the outside and whipping the ball in with his right foot, which they obviously felt Barney was more suited to.
He was really good on Saturday.
Hence why I think maybe Seb was stepped down and he was on the bench.
Yeah.
If we were playing somebody else and that wasn't the case, I dare say maybe Seb would have kept his place based on his performance the week before.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I think obviously, the coaching team and Parky are going to be obviously analysing the teams that we're up against, and is going to use people in places where their strengths are, and obviously, like you said, that's where Barnett, his strengths lie, with that sort of ball play and stuff like that. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was surprised, and then
understood.
But by half time, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now. I understand why that's happened. And yeah, I think if I'm honest, it was probably the right call.
Yeah.
Based on what we saw. So yeah, definitely. Look, they hit the bar just before half time.
So unlucky, wasn't it?
Okonkwo was rooted. The ball come in, header just off the top of the bar. Got to half time at 2-0. I was very happy with that. I think Reading weren't getting too much wrong, but as I said, it was just that final killer ball. But everything else looked good from them.
Yeah.
So when you get to half time, you're always a little bit worried because you think it just takes one well played pass in that final third, in the second half, and all of a sudden you're back to 2-1. They've got a little bit of the wind behind them sort of thing, and you're thinking, so you want to go out and you want something to happen
hard
quickly.
press from the get go.
Yeah, and it did. We won the ball back. Got it, and Andy released his cannon, and that sounds so bad. I just heard that. Yes. Rewind.
You can't.
I can't rewind.
We don't take anything out of these videos.
We don't. Anyway, I'm saying it. Andy released his cannon, right?
Yeah, boom.
Boom, yeah. Anyway, look, great goal. You really enjoyed it, didn't you?
I loved it, and I loved his celebration as well. Yeah. And I loved the way that McLean kind of bowed down to him, and yeah, I loved it. I like Andy Cannon. I think he's he was, we brought him in. He was underrated. Didn't really get much chance, but then he did come in and he absolutely blown us away last season, and he's doing pretty much the same this season so far.
Yeah, he is. I think it was very confusing with all the midfield additions that we'd brought in, but not much has changed, really, not from Andy anyway.
No.
He's still pushing on. I had a feeling once I saw his squad number that he was going to feature quite heavily this season, because I think to give a player a number in the 11, because obviously for anybody who doesn't know, if you go back to like the 80s, early 90s, your starting 11 had numbers 1 to 11. That was the team, and that's what people like me have grown up with. One.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah, 1 to 11. But then in the sort of early 90s, they started bringing in squad numbers, so a player would be allocated a number, and that was his number regardless of whether he was playing or not, and then we start getting names on the backs of the shirts. But there's still that thing of you want your number unless you've got a specific reason for having that number,
which Elliot Lee does,
like Elliot Lee, for example. Then you'll want a number in that first 11, and Andy's obviously wanted it. Andy got it, and I think
we've got a number 2 though, have we?
I don't know, haven't we?
I don't think so. What a 3?
Fads was 3, wasn't he?
Well, we don't have a 3.
No. Oh, okay. Fair enough. No, Brunt. Brunty's 3.
Ah, yeah, but we still have number 2. Maybe
we don't know.
Maybe that's a sign.
Anyway.
Because you'd think that McLean, because he's obviously he's gone for number 7. You'd think that he would go for number 2. So there must be a reason why
7, yeah, but he's been pretty much a midfielder all his career, so he probably wore number 7. You know, so just because he's playing a different position.
So there's certain numbers.
Yeah.
So like always, a striker always seems to be 9, 10.
Yes.
I've noticed when we're watching games. So then, like the mid numbers are for the midfield, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So usually, weird, right? It was even more specific than that when I was growing up. So 1 was the keeper, obviously. 2 was your right back.
Yep.
3 was your left back.
4 was your
4 and 5 were your central defenders, because
yeah.
everyone played 4-4-2. There was no other real formations than that. And then 6 and 7 were your central midfielders. 8 and 11 were your wingers, and 9 and 10 were your strikers. So that's just always how it was.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I did feel that Andy was going to still feature quite heavily, and he's proved his worth. No, someone else who proved their worth in that second half, I think, was Arthur. Made a great point blank save from that lad. He dived in where it hurt, and I think he had potential to get hurt diving in that close to someone swinging legs around. He went right in there, saved it brilliantly. And the reason I wanted to mention that is I was really happy about it, because after his jaw injury, sometimes you do worry a little bit that keepers are going to be a little bit more tentative about coming for stuff. And, instinct kicked in, and he was right in there. They hit the bar again the second half. Seen the replay, I think it went in, to be honest. Hit the bar, came down, and it looked like it came down over the line to me.
Oh, no VAR, sorry.
So, unfortunately not. Sorry, Reading. But yeah, so it did look like it went in. But look, it was a very comfortable win for us in the end. But let's talk about Paul.
Yes.
There was a rumble before the game. Everyone's looking at it's a weird one, isn't it? When the team comes out, and the first thing everyone looked at when the team come out wasn't the team, it was the bench.
Yeah.
And we saw Paul was there. Everyone had a little bit of a feeling that he was going to be on the bench. He was on the bench. Everyone got quite excited. Yeah. Thought, yes, we're going to see him back.
When the announcer was reading out the team names, and then obviously he said, "Oh, you're going to like this," and then read out Paul's name there.
And I think it could have gone one or two ways for me. We were 3-0 up nice and early in the second half. Now, for me, it was either perfect opportunity to bring him on, let him have some match minutes, and he's nice 15 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of the game. Perfect opportunity, because we're not chasing a game. We're nice and comfortable.
Yeah.
At the same time, you sort of felt, we are 3-0 up.
We could possibly get another.
We could just leave him out. Just leave him on the bench, give him another full week of training, and then he can come back the week after. But I think it was probably the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Bring him on, give him sort of 15 minutes at the end of the game. He didn't look sluggish. He looked good when he came on. He didn't really do too much of anything, but bit of running, and I think it's always invaluable minutes on the pitch as opposed to on the training ground for me.
Let's hope next year's pre-season, he doesn't miss any games at the start of the season next season.
Yeah, but it was at least this year. It was a decision he made, as opposed to Nathan Bishop trying to cut him in half.
And I think his replacement at the moment, Jack Marriott, I'm concerned now, because, like we've discussed before, Jack is a very a confident player, is the confidence player, and I'm worried now that obviously Paul Mullen, he's going to be coming back in, and ultimately he's going to be in the starting 11. Maybe not straight away. He might, there might be a couple of games.
Stop you.
What?
For a second. Does Paul start next Saturday? Well, I'll come back to Jack in a minute. Remember what we're talking about. You know what we're like, getting old now and memory. We'll come back to Jack, but does Paul start next Saturday?
I like Paul, and I think he's an amazing player. Obviously, he's an amazing player. But I would like to see Jack again, because I think another maybe another week of training for Paul, and then maybe, half an hour on the pitch next Saturday against Peterborough. But again, Paul may complement the way that Peterborough play more than Jack might. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
So back to Jack. You want to see him next Saturday?
Yeah, because he's a confidence player. I'm worried that he will. Obviously, Paul will come back in. I think he's definitely shown his worth, that he deserves to be on the starting 11. But I'm worried that if Paul comes in and he's subbed or not played at all, I doubt that'll happen. But I just think it might kind of take him aback. But I don't know, because obviously Paul Mullen is like the star player, isn't he? But we have to remember,
it's like I've wound you up and just let you go.
I know,
here.
sorry, but I know. Yeah, I know, sorry, but the way that you've totally lost my train of thought now. Don't speak for a minute.
Okay, let's all sit in silence.
Let's sit in silence
while Shan remembers what she was trying to say. I apologise, because that was my fault then.
It's gone.
Oh.
You're an absolute tool.
Oh. For me, Paul starts next week.
Do you know what that sounded like?
What?
Paul farts.
Paul
farts.
Paul starts next Saturday for me. 100%. I don't see how he doesn't start.
That's what I was going to say. Let me say it before I forget again. What I was going to say is Paul, amazing player. He's helped us get from National League to League 2 to League 1. But I nearly forgot then what I was talking about. But we have to look at the last 3 games that we have played without Mullen.
Yeah.
3-2.
Yeah.
Draw.
Yeah.
We'd got 3-0 before he even came on Saturday. So, we are a good team without him.
Yeah.
So do you think that if he comes in, we'll be 1,000 times better? Or, I don't know. It's a tough one for me. I want Jack Marriott. I love Paul Mullen. I don't know. Is my honest answer. I don't know. I've put Marriott in my lineup for next week.
Have you?
Yes. With Palmer again.
Okay, look, I'm not saying you're wrong, because I don't know what's in Phil's head. But for me, if you go, let's say like prime Barcelona, right, at the a few years ago, if you had Messi out injured for 5-6 games and he's fit, ready to start, you don't sit him on the bench and go, well, we don't need him because we've won the last 5. You don't do that, do you?
No.
You look at what the best that you've got available. And for me,
he is the best.
He is the best that we have available in that position. And he is available because he's played 20 minutes on Saturday, and he's going to have another full week of training for fitness-wise. I just think you've got to start him.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for an hour, I think he needs that first hour. And then, if you want to bring Jack on as some legs for the last half an hour, crack on with that. But for me, he has to start.
Okay. Okay.
Look, we're 4th in the league, 7 points. I don't think we could have asked for a better start.
No.
Could we? 100% not.
I mean,
with the games that we've had.
How many points after 3 games did we have last season after the pause?
I don't know.
Minus 20.
No, I don't know.
It wasn't great, to be fair, was it?
No. 2 games at home, 6 goals scored, 3 games in total played, 2 clean sheets. I mean, anyone would have snapped your hand off for that before the season started, going, right, your first 3 games are going to be Wickham, Bolton and Reading. Are you happy with 7 points? Anyone would have taken that all day long.
We were talking about it yesterday, actually, about the table and like Stockport, how, they're obviously, number 1 on the table. They've got 9 points. But
Who?
Stockport.
Not heard of them. Go on.
You got me worried for a minute then. Have I just said the wrong name? No, yeah. But you said that you have to look at the teams that they've played.
Yeah.
They haven't been like your Wickhams and your Boltons and your Readings, have they? No. I think we have had a harder start than Stockport have. And when they play Bolton and all these other teams that are like hard, then I think that's when it'll kind of...
Give you some advice.
What?
Don't worry about Stockport.
I'm not worried, but I'm just saying everyone's like big
Okay. I'll give you some other advice then.
Shut up.
Stop talking about Stockport. I don't care.
No, I know.
Nobody listening cares, right, what Stockport are doing.
Okay.
I tell you who does care what Stockport are doing. Stockport. That's who cares.
I know.
We don't.
I know. But
Let them get on with what they're doing. We'll just concentrate on what we're doing.
Okay.
All right? Okay.
Consider me told.
Look, Ollie Rathbone. I wanted to talk about him because I was going to talk about it last week. I didn't. I said I'd leave it till this week. I'm glad I did because record signing. Mm-hmm. We've seen flashes of him when we put him up front against Bolton and he just ran round like a bit of a headless chicken for 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. Mainly because, weirdly, he's not a striker. He doesn't score goals. He's a midfielder. So you're going, okay, you know, he's just got a few minutes. He's done a job when he's been asked. Okay, next home game. Nowhere to be seen in the matchday squad.
He was in the fan zone, though, having pictures taken with fans with George Evans.
Lovely. That's great. I'm pretty sure we haven't signed him for a record amount of money to keep the fan zone happy. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I know.
Is it... I know what Parky's like. I've started to understand what Parky's like. He's not a huge fan of throwing players in, right? Right at the start. January's a bit different. You have to do it a little bit in January. But at the start of the season, he likes to integrate them a little bit. Yeah. He likes to get them playing the way he wants them to play. I do find it a little bit baffling that he's not really involved at all, though. And when he has been involved, it's been in positions that he doesn't play. And it's not even as if he was a goal-scoring midfielder who you can go, I'll tell you what, mate, I'll chuck you up front. I know you can shoot. I know you've got goals in you. Last season, he got 1 goal and 1 assist.
Wasn't like 40-odd appearances or
46.
Something. Yeah.
So it's sort of like, I'm a little perplexed by what the strategy is for it is Ollie. Yeah. Sorry. It just seems like a lot of money that we've splashed out. And where is he? And look, I don't want to dwell on this too much. I just wanted to put my across. I would be very interested to know what you who are listening or watching think. So please comment. You can send us an email, whatever it is. The email address coming up in a little bit. I'm confused, and I want to know if other people out there are equally as confused as I am about what you're going to fit in. What positions are you going to play? To me, it sort of feels like he's maybe an Andy Cannon sort of like for like. I don't think you're moving Dobbo out of there at the moment because he seems very settled and he's doing what he's doing great, extremely well. Yeah. Look, please let us know what you think. But for me, I'm just confused because I think, as I say, you don't bring a record signing. Let's just get them words out there. Record signing.
He's only a record signing because we don't. All the other figures. Well, we don't know how much.
His was undisclosed, but the club said this is a record signing.
Oh, right, the club announced it. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm a little confused.
Perplexed.
Yes.
I'm perplexed.
I am perplexed.
Word of the day.
Look, yes. So let us know what you think. Are you as confused as me? What do you think is going to happen with him? Where do you think he's going to play? Love to hear what you think anyway. A couple of questions.
We have. So the first question is from Chris. What was your all's first away day after starting the pod? Keep up the great work. Always a great listen. Thank you very much, Chris.
So I'd been on quite a few away days, obviously pre-Shan being involved. With football and getting into it and all that. But I won't talk about them. We'll talk about our first away day. So I think our first away day as a podcast, as it were, was it Oldham?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it was Oldham.
Because I remember we took that picture.
Yes.
And Ryan Reynolds liked it. And then he followed us. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, it was Oldham, Chris. It was in the National League. Oldham away. We took our son.
Yes.
My dad came along, and it was the game where we were 1-0 down for 88 minutes, and then we equalised, and then we got a penalty right at the end. It was an awful game. We were terrible.
Atmosphere was amazing, though.
Yeah, we were terrible practically all game. And then we won it with 2 really late goals, and it turned out to be one of the best away days ever. Because it was like to go there, play terrible, and snatch all 3 points right at the end. It was absolutely fantastic. That was it.
Yes.
Pop culturist, I have a question. How has having this pod and Sian now being a Wrexham fan affected your relationship as a couple?
I hate him. We only talk an hour a week when we do the podcast.
No, it's weird, really, because we weren't not close before this.
We've always been a really close couple, weirdly.
But we just didn't have the same interests, did we?
No, but they say that opposites attract, though.
They do, but obviously, yeah, that's quite true. We were into sort of different types of music. We'd like the same sort of stuff on the TV and things like that. But yeah, we
love a crime drama.
Yeah, we were just quite different people, but we were still really close at the same time. But then the football was my way of sort of having a bit of time away, and then
I've gegged in on it.
Sian's just dived right into that. No, to be fair, it's a joke, but I don't know. It hasn't changed us very much. We're just as childish and immature as we were before.
Oh yeah, honestly, we are not a good advert for parents or anything because we're
very childish.
We are very we are good parents. Don't get me wrong, but we are we can be quite childish with our son.
Yeah.
Well, I say me. This one over here is terrible. But I would say that now, like before I started going and getting into football, Ryan was always like, there's some football on today. Can I, do you mind if I watch it? And I'm like, no, I'll go to my mum's or whatever. And then now it's like I watch the football when Ryan's in work.
Yeah.
Like, any games that are on that, interest me.
So I don't even ask anymore, which is great because I just put it on.
Yeah.
I go, we're watching this. Sian's like, yes, that's
I think it probably, we like I said, we were close before, but I think we are probably even closer because we talk a lot more about kind of things that interest us both, where, if Ryan told me talking about something, I just used to log off. I'm joking, I didn't really. No, yeah, but I think, Ryan, at the end, I know this is going to sound so corny, but as well as my husband, Ryan is my best friend, and he is like my absolute rock, and I just, I love doing life with you. It's actually our oh God, I forgot that. Our 11-year wedding anniversary on Thursday.
Yes.
So I just thought that was appropriate.
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah.
That's definitely why I put it in, because I definitely remembered it as our wedding anniversary
You
next
did
year.
remember. Don't be all coy and pretend.
I'm joking. Logan Leroy, here's a question. How do Brits approach swearing at football matches? Are kids encouraged or permitted to join in the vulgar chants as well? Is there this kind of language is only okay at football grounds conversation every father has with their young son?
We don't encourage it.
No, I don't.
We're quite lucky with our son.
Yes, he doesn't like swearing. He's not. It's
for a 12-year-old. I think that's quite rare.
Yeah, especially in the UK. Yeah, I remember when I was younger, my dad always used to say, "Look, what you hear here doesn't go back home. Don't tell your mother." I can't have that conversation because our son's mother stood right next to me during the game. But
Mrs. Pottymouth.
We have always had that conversation with him of going, look, you will hear stuff at the football, from all angles. But he very much understands the right and wrong of language. Yeah. And, he does hear it. And he's sort of at that age where he is growing up, but he's still a little bit of a child. And certain things that come out, he does have a little bit of a giggle at and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting question, but I think it is very much very British, where, the dad and lad sort of go, Look.
What happens at the football stays at the football.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But there are, don't get us wrong, there are parents who don't care and will let their kids swear and stuff like that. But
yeah, definitely. Look, if you want to get in touch, you can get in touch on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or email us at wrexhamafc@gmail.com.
So we've got some news. So the other day we reached 2,000 followers on our X account, Twitter, whatever you call it. So that was, I think we're on like 211 or something like that now. Might be even more, I don't know.
So we've lost 1,800.
What did I say?
211.
2011, sorry.
Yeah, it's ticking off. Sorry, I think the sound just went off on our mics then. But hopefully you can still hear us. So hello. But yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, let's move on. We've reached. Elliot and Paul, just to run through it quickly in case the mics are dying.
Why have you put Elliot? Oh yeah, no.
Elliot and Paul were named in League Two Team of the Season at the PFA Awards last week. Jake Bickerstaff scored a hat-trick in the Wrexham reserves.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and a 3-2 win at Stoke. I think we're going to see a little bit of movement maybe with Jake this week.
What, out on loan?
Maybe with Jake and maybe with Billy and maybe one or two others. So I think keep your eyes peeled on that one because I think it'd be quite interesting to see what happens with them. And I think because obviously these players are part of the wage bill.
Yeah.
So I think if we can move people on early enough, we might see some more additions into the squad this week. But we'll wait and see what happens with that one.
So the Fantasy EFL. So our number one in first place is S Jones. And in second is C Chandler. And third is Gareth Jackson. So well done to you three.
Yes. Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't you?
It's only the third game in.
Don't you three go getting all nice and comfortable and then three positions. I'm sure we're gonna come back for you. I had a better week this week. Sorry, we had a better.
You had a better.
I had a better week this week.
I have no inclusion in this whatsoever.
I think I'm starting to find my feet with it.
Yeah.
So we will wait and see.
So next Saturday, we are away at Peterborough. For our second home game of the season and our fourth game of the season.
I don't know what you just said. Second home game of the season. It's our second away game of the season. Oh
yeah, whatever. You know what I mean. So we're away at London Road, which but obviously it's called the Western Homes Stadium.
Not obviously. Why obviously?
I don't know. Is that for sponsoring purposes?
It is, yes.
Their capacity is a whopping. Is it a whopping though? Actually, no, it's not. 15,314, and we have got 1,563 Wrexham fans heading there. All the tickets sold now?
I'm not sure. That's how many we were allocated. There were still some available last week when I checked, so I'm not sure on that.
It's about 3 hours away from us, so it's about 159 miles as the crow flies.
No, not as the crow flies.
I never understood that saying.
As the crow flies is in a straight line.
Well, you might go in a straight line.
You might do, but it wouldn't be 159 miles.
No. So, so they won against Exeter on Saturday, 2-1, and they were playing away. They're currently 7th in the league. And they've won 2 and lost 1, and their opening day at home was to Huddersfield. Yeah,
that's the only game they've lost this season. Founded in 1904, and they play in a blue. They finished 4th in League One last season, and they lost in the playoff final to Oxford, who ended up getting promoted after beating Bolton in the final. The last 15 years, they've spent 11 in League One and 4 in the Championship.
Mad, that, innit?
Yeah, so 15 years, they've not been any lower than League One. In the last 5 seasons in League One, they have finished in the top 7 in all of them.
So our last league game with Peterborough was in February 2008 in League 2. We lost 2-0 at the Racecourse, boo, and drew 0-0 away at London Road. Their top scorer last season was Sam Efron, Mason Clark. Is that all one name?
I don't know if I've added an extra name in there. Efron, Mason Clark. Yeah, I don't know why there's extra names in there. I think I've tried to type over.
What's his name?
Ephron Mason Clark.
Sam Ephron Mason Clark. Not Sam. Ephron Mason Clark, and he has scored 14. But that was obviously last season. He is now with Coventry, so we don't need to worry about him. They're 7th favourite to win the league with the bookies. Predictions?
I don't know, really.
It's really tough because of the last 3 games that we've had. It's a toughie, I reckon. Yeah,
it is tough, and I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure which way this one. This one's a hard game, and this is sort of like, I know we seem to say it every week. Oh, this one's a hard game. Oh, this one's a hard game. I know they're all hard games.
I would rather say it's hard.
Yeah.
And then do what we do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then rather than going, oh yeah, we're going to fly with this one, then do really bad.
I think this is right up there, sort of towards the echelons of Bolton away. This is a tough away game. I would be, look, I'm going to do 2 things here, right? What I would be happy with, and I am going to go with an optimistic prediction, okay?
That optimistic prediction is the one that will be going in.
It is, correct, yes. So I would be happy with another 0-0 draw.
Yep.
Any sort of draw, I'd be happy coming away from there with a point. That's as good as a win for me, not in the point stakes, obviously, but for me, going there, getting a point, tough team, always seem to end up in and around the playoffs.
Yeah.
So certainly have for the last few years, and I think they'll be up there again this season. So I think a point on the road there would be absolutely fantastic. But I am going to go for a nice, simple 1-0 win. That what you're going for as well. That's fine. That's fine.
We're allowed to do that this season, are we?
I don't know. Are you going to change?
No.
Well, neither am I.
That's why I wrote it down first, because I thought you're going to say 1-0. I know you are. So I said 1-0. So we're going for the same. So we could be on like a point next week.
We could have been on a point any week that's gone.
To be fair,
we haven't been.
I got the score prediction of what the Wrexham goals were on Saturday.
You did.
But thankfully, I'm glad that we came away with a clean sheet rather than...
You overestimated Reading, though, didn't you?
I did.
I think I should probably shout someone out, actually. There's a guy called Lee who works with us. He works on the forklifts.
Doesn't work with me.
Oh, sorry, Sian doesn't work there anymore.
I don't work there anymore.
She wasn't good enough to be kept on. So,
but I got a better job with better benefits now. So who's laughing now, guys?
So anyway, Lee, he's a dirty Tranmere fan, but he came to me on Friday, and he goes, prediction for you for Saturday, I reckon you'll win 3-0. So I thought I'd better shout him out and say, hello, Lee, thanks for your prediction.
Does he even listen to the podcast?
He does.
Oh, hi, Lee.
You were absolutely spot on with that one.
Well done. At least one of us got it right, eh?
Yeah. Look, quick shout out for Dragon Chat. It's a mental health peer support group. They run a weekly Zoom call. There's one on Monday at 8 p.m. And that is for women, and one on Thursday at 7 p.m. and that is for men. The best thing for you to do is follow Steve Lloyd on Twitter, which is at Dragon Chat WXMFC. You can also find all of the details of how to get on these calls down in the description if you're watching us on YouTube.
And if you're not watching us on YouTube, head over to YouTube and give us a quick bell, because then that went off again then.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry if we've got cuts in sound. I don't know what's going on. Shocker.
Do you know why it is?
Yeah.
Alfie's been playing with these mics, hasn't he?
I know. Son.
Anyway, let's do the quick quiz. Quiz quick before it goes off again.
Yeah. Okay, question 1.
Yes.
You commented on how many subs Reading made on Saturday at the game. But how many subs did we make before Reading made their first?
Ooh.
It's an interesting question, isn't it?
It's a horrible question.
Yeah. It could be 0, by the way. Or it could be, obviously, up to 5.
I'm going to say 1.
You're going to say 1. It isn't. It's 2. Fletcher and Mullen came on before they made any subs. Do you like herbs?
What?
Do you like herbs?
I don't really have a like or a dislike of
Okay.
them.
All right then.
I don't really think about it.
Which of these was a Reading player who played on Saturday? Basil Toomer, Kelvin Rosemary, Dill Binden, or Lemongrass Jones?
I'd love it if it was Lemongrass Jones.
I just threw that one in for the laugh, but it's obviously not Lemongrass Jones.
I'm going to go for the second one.
Kelvin Rosemary.
Wrong.
Wrong. It was
the first one.
Basil Toomer. Yeah.
Basil?
Okay. No. Number 3, assists. We all know that Ryan Barnett provided the cross for Ollie's goal on Saturday. But who passed to Andy Cannon for his goal? Oh, it's gone quiet.
McLean.
Incorrect. Elliot Lee. Number 4. Have you got any right yet?
No,
No,
I
absolutely
haven't.
not. No. Number 4. We face Peterborough this Saturday.
Yep.
But who did they beat 2-1
Exeter.
on Saturday? Yes, well done. There's 1.
Yay!
Okay, there's 3 points on offer for this one.
Okay.
After Peterborough, can you name our next 3 games?
Shrewsbury.
Correct.
I can never say shrew. It is shrew.
I say Shrewsbury. A lot of people say Shrewsbury. So I say Shrewsbury.
You know who I mean anyway.
Yeah.
I can't think.
No? Do you want to have a stab?
Hang on. So September the 7th is Shrewsbury. Crawley.
Okay.
And then... Birmingham.
Okay. I'm going to give you 3 points, although they technically aren't our next 3 games. So our next 3 games are Shrewsbury, Salford, and Birmingham. Because we're playing Salford in the EFL Trophy.
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't realise we were
But I
including
did
them.
put Crawley in brackets at the end because I thought, just in case that, you weren't sure. So I put Crawley in there.
High five to me!
Yes, and to me for knowing exactly what you would do.
And this is what being married's all about.
It is indeed. Look, sorry if there have been any sort of breaks in sound throughout this, because obviously there's something not quite right there. But fingers crossed, wasn't too detrimental. You're looking at my mic now, and you say, "Don't go blaming me." It's anything to do with me. Look, thank you very much for joining us again this week. We look forward.
Don't forget to subscribe.
No, yeah, to do that. We look forward to Peterborough on Saturday. Don't forget to join us next Monday at 6 p.m. for another show. Bye.